Hello and welcome back. In the last session, we looked at GitHub projects board and then we also looked at your milestones. We can use project boards to visually keep track of your tasks, organize your work around goals with milestones, and let your code base do the project management work for you with automatic updates. In today's session, we are going to talk about Git workflows. We have already touched based on this in the previous sessions, but today we are going to talk about the pros, the cons, about the Git workflows, and also which one should you choose. Now, before we dive into the details, if you found this video helpful, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow and allows me to keep making more videos just like this one. Let's get started with this. Now, we have learned a lot about branches, but as a team, you can't just create branches randomly. You need a strategy, a branching model to ensure your codebase remains organized and stable. In this session, we will explore two of the most popular Git workflows, Git Flow and GitHub Flow. There's no single best workflow. The right one for you depends entirely on your project's goals. So let's first start off with your Git Flow workflow, which is the structured approach. So Git Flow is a complex and highly structured branching model. This is best suited for projects that have a scheduled version release cycle like a desktop application or a software with major predictable updates. Now, how does this work is GitHub defines 5 specific types of branches to manage a project's lifecycle. So under this, you will first begin with the main branch. So this will be your core production branch. This will always be stable and reflects the current live version of the software. All the commits here are tagged with a version number like version 1.0, 2.0, and then so on. Then you will have another branch which is your develop branch. So here I'm going to create a new branch and we'll call that as your develop branch. Now this will be your main development branch. All new features and changes are integrated into develop. This will be a snapshot of your next release. So whatever you're planning to release, all that will be in your develop branch. Then you'll have multiple feature branches. So as a developer, you will create feature branches from the develop branch and you will start working on these feature branches. Once it's complete, you will merge them back to your develop branch. Then you will have one more branch which is your release branch. So let's create a new branch here. So when your develop branch has enough features for a new release, you will create this release branch from your develop branch. This branch is used for final bug fixes and testing before the new version is launched. Once ready, it's merged into your main branch as well as your develop branch to ensure your main branch contains the new version and your develop has the bug fixes and they are carried forward. Now, in addition to this, you'll have one more branch which is the hotfix branch. So these are for urgent bug fixes on the production main branch. So a hotfix branch is created directly from your main branch, and once the fix is complete, it's merged into your main branch as well as your develop branch. So generally, when we talk about your Git flow workflow, you will have all these branches to work with. So again, main branch will always contain your production quality code. Develop is where you will merge all of your features, your changes and everything. Feature branches is where each of the developer will create their own feature branch and then make the necessary changes. Release branch is basically where create this as your final bug fixes and for testing your new version of your application. And then hotfix is when you have any bug fixes that you need to fix immediately, then you make use of your hotfix branch. Now, what are the pros of this workflow? So it is highly organized. So the branch structure clearly separates different stages of your development, right? Because you're using different branches. Then clear history. So the commit history on the main is very clean, showing only major releases and hotfixes, and then predictable. So ideal for a team that works with scheduled planned releases. Now this also has few cons. This can be complex. So it can be overkill for small teams or for small projects, and then it has a high overhead. So this requires a lot of branch management and a very strict discipline because you're dealing with lots of branches. So that's about your Git flow workflow. Next, let's talk about your GitHub flow. Now, this is your simple agile approach. So, GitHub Flow is a simpler, more lightweight branching model. And this is mainly designed for teams that practice continuous delivery, where code is merged and deployed very frequently. Now, this is the standard for many web applications and SaaS companies that ship small continuous changes. So, how this works is under your GitHub flow, you'll only rely on two main types of branches. So, let's say I will take another project. Let's say I'll take this project. So, here we have the main branch. So, in addition to this, you will have your feature branches. So, the main branch, so this is the only core branch. So under this you will not have the develop branch, you will not have the release branch, none of those things. You'll have the main branch. This will be the single source of truth and is always in a deployable state. And then you will end up creating lots of feature branches. So let's say feature 1, and then let's say feature 2, just for the sake of example. And then I'll create one more, and let's call this as feature 3, and then so on. So any new work that needs to be done, whether it's a feature or a bug fix, it's done on a branch created directly from your main branch. That's your GitHub flow. So it's very simple, very agile approach that you can follow. So you'll have only the main branch and then lots of feature branches. All right. Now, the workflow under this is very straightforward. A developer will create a new branch from the main branch. They will make their necessary changes and then push them to their respective branch. Now, once they are ready, they will open up a pull request to merge the changes into the main branch. The team will review the code, and if all the checks pass and the code is approved, this will be merged into the main branch. Now, merging to main automatically triggers a deployment to production. So this is basically what workflow you will have under your GitHub flow. So create a feature branch from the main, make the necessary changes on your feature branch, push your feature branch, create a pull request to merge your changes from the feature branch to the main branch. Someone from your team will review the code, they will approve it, and then automatically trigger the deployment of your changes from the main branch to your production environment. So that's basically the workflow that you're going to have. Now, the pros of this approach is that it's simple and fast, so easy to learn and requires less branch management, continuous delivery. So this is designed to support frequent and automated deployments and less overhead. So you will spend less time managing branches and more time is spent on coding your application. Now this also has few cons. So this is less structured, can lead to a messy commit history on the main branch if it is not managed well, because you only have the main branch and the feature branches, and then this is not ideal for versioned releases. So it's hard to track strict version numbers with this model. So which one should you choose? So should you go with the Git flow workflow, or should you go with the GitHub flow workflow? So choose Git flow workflow if your project has a strict planned and versioned release cycle. Like for example, your desktop applications or mobile applications where you need to follow a very strict, properly planned and version release of your application. You need a very clear separation between a stable production version and ongoing development. So when you want to have that clear separations, then you can go with the Git flow. And then if your team is large and you need a highly disciplined workflow to manage parallel development, then go with your Git flow workflow. You can choose GitHub Flow workflow if your project practices continuous delivery and you frequently ship small changes. Your team is small, agile, and values speed over structure. And then when you're building a web application or a SaaS product where main can be deployed at any time, that's when you can go with your GitHub Flow workflow. So ultimately, the best workflow is the one that your team understands and follows consistently. But generally, If it's a very big project and you have very big team, then Gitflow is what you will end up using, where you will maintain multiple branches. So like your main branch, the develop branch, the hotfix branch, the release branch, and then lots of feature branches. And that brings us to the end of this session. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more content, and let me know in the comment section if you have any queries. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next session.